Moving on with my main theme of the moment, which is players from the 1955 Seattle Rainiers, with three other themes mixed in: home run episodes, players who coached and taught, and shows about players' first or last appearances in the majors. 2 episodes back, I told you about Bill Glynn's last game in the majors. I'll start off this show talking about a pitcher's first game in the majors. As it turns out, it would be his one and only appearance in the majors, but that one appearance got this pitcher in the MLB record book without approaching the mound or the plate that day. Not too bad, getting to one game for what turns out to be one play, and you're in the MLB record book for being the first for what you did. Or should I say, for what you didn't do? So let's go. This high schooler's road to the majors was not unique. Like some, he attended college on a scholarship, and like some, he would graduate. Others felt the pressure to drop out and sign with a team for monetary reasons. All but a handful of players start in the minors, regardless if you were a superstar in high school or a standout in college. What was unique about this player's MLB debut was that he was the first to have an MLB debut like the one he had. And like the other players who make it to the big show, this player put on a big league uniform, and like most who make it, he got into a game. For a couple of minutes. Still, better than those who make it to the bigs and never get in, like Rainier's Lou Ortiz. This man is a local legend who hails from California, the earthquake capital of the world, and was born, raised, schooled, worked, taught, and coached in and around my hometown for decades. Today's show is in memory of John Hardin Oldham, who passed away just last year at home in San Jose on February 24th, 2024. His nickname? Johnny. That's what they called him. That's how he signs his name. Where in California was this kid born? Most say Salinas. The family obituary says Gilroy, 1932. That's Gilroy out there on the right. Known as the garlic capital of the world. Now I'll take you to the other side of the mountain. The Oldham family moved to the other side of these here Santa Cruz Mountains, to the farming community known as Salinas, the salad bowl of the world. Those kooky Californians think the world revolves around them. That's Salinas there on the far left. Don't go there. They also lived in the beach town called Santa Cruz, aka Surf City. It's out there on the far right, which I will show you in a second. Don't go there either. All nice places to go, nice places to live 40 years ago. That's Capitola on the left and Santa Cruz on the right. The Oldhams finally settled down in the little town of Campbell, next to the big city of San Jose. Johnny's dad used to pitch for the Salinas Colts back in the 1930s. Yup, another story about a kid with the game of baseball in his DNA. Johnny was a pitching star at Campbell High School in 1950, and the lefty hurler was Player of the Year in the Santa Clara Valley Athletic League. They say he shined in the North-South California All-Star Game, and that showing got him a scholarship to San Jose State right down the street from the family home. The 6'3", 200-pound pitcher became a Spartan in 1952 and still holds Spartan pitching records for career and single-season strikeouts and is in top 10 in a few categories, including career wins. And John is in the San Jose State Athletic Hall of Fame. For the summers of 1952 and 53, he played in a collegiate league with the Humboldt Crabs. Trivia question: who was the first Crab player to make it to the major leagues? Answer: Johnny Oldham. And he was inducted into the Crab Hall of Fame in 2016. You're probably wondering, was he a first ballot Crab Hall of Famer? I don't know. Either way, though, a nice feather to have in your cap. How many other big leaguers can say that? Cincinnati Redlegs were the parent club of the Seattle Rainiers, and they signed the lefty pitcher right out of college in 1954. Johnny said, "Someone told me that when I get my contract, don't sign it. Just send it back. They always want to try to lowball rookies. I didn't know any better, so I sent it back. I wasn't aware Reds GM Gabe Paul was known for being tough and cheap. A few weeks later, I got a letter from Paul, and it said, 'I've never been so insulted in my life. You're sold to Seattle. So off to Seattle it was, and he made 35 pitching appearances for that 1955 championship team, going 9-6. Here's Johnny talking about playing in the Pacific Coast League. The teams were very competitive, and we played in front of a lot of sold-out stadiums. Coming out of spring training in 1955, I made the Seattle team and pitched well there, and we won the league going away. The fans were great in Seattle. They loved their baseball in the Pacific Northwest, and it was fun to play for that team. We got to go to a lot of places like San Diego, LA, and the Bay Area. It was probably my best year. His play that season made Reds GM reconsider, and he was called up to the Reds for 1956, thinking about his upcoming big league debut, but instead made his debut with another team when he was drafted by Team USA and was called up by the big boss man, Uncle Sam. Johnny said, "Right in the middle of spring training, I got a draft notice and had to report to San Francisco to be inducted into the Navy. Now I was sent to San Diego and got to play ball, and it was great." John Oldham is one of those rare MLB players that batted right but threw left. They say it's rare, and it is. There's only 2 in the league who do it right now. This is Johnny talking about his one game in the majors after just being discharged from the service. His 1956 MLB debut with the Redlegs. He says, "It was early in September. We were playing the Cubs at Crossley Field, and out of the blue, our manager, Bertie Tebbetts, told me to pinch run for Kluszewski. I was definitely excited, but also scared at the same time. Don't get picked off, I told myself. Our shortstop, Roy McMillan, popped up, and I returned to the bench. I never imagined that would be the end of my MLB playing career." Johnny continues, "I was sent to the bullpen to warm up as a possible reliever later in the game, but they never put me in. Years later, I figured out they didn't put me in because Gabe Paul was still upset about when I mailed back that contract. His time in Cincinnati lasted basically a matter of weeks, and there was a few games when the 23-year-old was sent down to the bullpen to get loose, but never got the signal to come into the game." John said, "Every time I went down there, I thought I was going in, but he never did. Well, not as a pitcher anyway. The next 2 seasons were spent traveling from Savannah and the Redlegs to pitching in Nashville with the Volunteers, and would get to see the sights of Yakima pitching for the Valley Braves. John was taken from the Redlegs by the Pirates in the 1958 minor league draft and would pitch on 3 teams in his final year before calling it quits after only 5 seasons. This is John talking about the time when it really hit him and he knew he was done playing baseball, recalling the exact moment. "It was 1960. My arm was done. I was married and had a kid, so I had to make a business decision. I walked out of that ballpark and saw my wife and my child sitting in the car, and I said, 'This is it. We're going home.' So that's what he did. And you know what they say? There's no place like home and the love of a good woman." What's that, Ed? Or 2 good women. I've heard that before. It gets tricky. The best is instead of a couple of good women, you get 3 subpar ones that don't fight with each other. What a way to trample all over Johnny's touching, poignant moment in his life. Anything for a laugh up here at the Chuckle Bucket. And apparently these local legends agree. Some of these jokers here lived and went to school in the San Jose Bay Area. That's Coach Dick Vermeil there. And Bill Walsh also went to San Jose State. Jim Plunkett went to Stanford, but is from San Jose. And if you drive a few miles up the road we call El Camino, you'll be at Tom Brady's high school. Keeping with my theme on teachers and coaches, my dad coached. My mom, sister, and brother taught. Ed is married to a teacher. I know there's more of you out there, but all I can think of right now is Math Bowler. As for coaches, there's Andy at Dee's Collection. Mr. Oldham took his teaching credentials, and was hired at his old high school to be the new PE teacher. And for the next 26 years of his life, everybody was always calling him Johnny. Now the 27-year-old will have to get used to everybody calling him Mr. Oldham or Coach Oldham, because he also took over as Campbell High's baseball coach. First teenager he coached, a local legend, still living, Cal Bear quarterback and Super Bowl champion, and the teen who was wanted by 3 professional sports leagues, Mr. Craig Morton. I could read you Coach Oldham's resume. Instead, I'll let him do it. He starts off here talking about coaching at his old high school. In 5 years, we won the league 4 times and finished second once. I got hired at San Jose City College, and I took that team to 5 conference championships and produced 4 major leaguers. Coach had 390 wins, and one of those future major leaguers was a pitcher named Dave, also from a family with baseball in their DNA, the Righetti family. Johnny played with Dave's father, Leo, when they played together in Seattle. Here, John talks about being hired at SCU in 1985. I got the job at Santa Clara University, where we won 4 West Coast Conference crowns and produced 4 more big leaguers, Randy Wynn being one. We never made it to the College World Series, but I was there for 13 seasons and I loved it. And he was named WCC Coach of the Year 4 times, leaving the school in 1997 with 433 wins to 324 losses, making him the second winningest coach in school history, and they've been playing ball at SCU since 1883. Later on, the former player kept his spikes in the game as supervisor of umpire development for the California League. And besides the 2 Halls of Fame previously mentioned, John is also in the City of San Jose Sports Hall of Fame. Johnny Oldham's dream was to be a pitcher in the big leagues. Was that really his dream? I don't know. I'm just assuming it was, like the countless others who work hard, hoping their dream will come true of playing in the big show. So did John. Well, probably. But if it was his dream, it came true. Well, kinda. In a way. Almost. But not quite. You see, Johnny Oldham made it to the majors, and he got into a big league game. But here's the part where the dream really didn't come true. First of all, he's listed on the roster as a pitcher, but put in the game to pinch run. That didn't happen in his dream. Second of all, it's his MLB debut and was his only appearance that season. That didn't happen in his dream either. And third, worst of all, that would be his only major league appearance. Nope, definitely didn't happen that way in my dream. So it was not so much an unfulfilled dream, but more a dream not fully realized. But he did check off 2 of the 3 boxes. He made it to the majors, and he got into a game. The third box has no check mark because the pitcher never got to pitch in the big leagues. So the kid who's been throwing since childhood never got to make that once-in-a-lifetime walk out to the middle of the diamond and stand up there on the mound and then look around at a major league crowd looking back at him. And that batter, a little over 60 feet away, digging in at the plate. In his dreams, it was Joe DiMaggio on some nights, Ted Williams on the others. It didn't matter, because he struck them out every night in his dreams when he went to sleep. Johnny just never got that full experience of being an MLB pitcher. So his dream of pitching in the big leagues didn't come true, if that was his dream. But for what it's worth, Johnny Oldham could always say that he was the first pitcher in MLB history to appear in a major league game without throwing a pitch. In memory of John Hardin Oldham.